Hello and welcome to another exciting Let's Play starring me, L1011Widebody, and this time I have my co-pilot. Pilot to co-pilot.
Hello.
Hey, there you are.
Yeah, I already said hello.
I know, but I was thinking you would introduce yourself.
Miateshcha.
Yay!
Returning from the SimCity 2000 Let's Play.
He's been upgraded to SimCity 3000. So here we are. Here we are in SimCity 3000.
Takes place.
Yes. We have lots of new things to toy with. Obviously preferences and real city terrain is exciting. Load city and of course scenarios where things go wrong.
Horribly wrong.
Horribly wrong.
I also noticed we have the starter towns here, which is one of the big improvements this made on 2000. In this, you can cut all the tedious, busy work of building the power plant, building the road, building your first zones, and just jump into something with an infrastructure already set up.
It is kind of neat that way. So you don't have to... It's a little bit more, you know, less of a learning curve. But we want to start from the beginning because we're like master architects and stuff. That's an old test thing. Let's see. City name. What should we name our city?
Not Buttville.
Not.
And that's not the name. I mean, yes. Joetopia.
Joetopia. That sounds good. Mayor name.
How do you pronounce that? Is that German? For the audience at home, quick overview on the right. This is SimCity 3000 Unlimited, which was I think the first game in the series to offer different kinds of terrain. In this case, it's just switching around the color palette for the ground, switching the trees you have lying around, and different sprite sets for the buildings. So there's no gameplay effect, but this was one of the first games to let you customize what the city looked like at all.
So we got some neat options there over here. Regular trees and like evergreens and stuff. Palm trees, I guess.
Baobabs.
Gonna have Arctic palm trees with fancy Victorian homes.
The three sets are European, American, and
Japanese,
did they say Korean or just Asian?
Asian?
There, very nice.
Yeah, that looks nice. And user-made buildings. So there's also a building constructor that is included with the SimCity Unlimited, which is, I believe it's voxel based, right?
Yes.
But it's, I'm not going to go into that because that's a little bit tricky. And you can, but lots of people have built lots of buildings and reenacted them and stuff. It's very, very powerful. And the difficulty levels have a bit more difference now. So let's just go to medium, and the start date determines we're going to go to 2000 because we want to see all the options available.
This was the last Sim game where the date actually mattered. After that, it was just a way of keeping track of how long you've been playing. From SimCity 4 on, all of the buildings and technology you unlocked were based on your performance instead of whenever you hit a certain year on the ticker.
That is true.
There's also changing your city size, but why anyone would not want the biggest city possible is beyond me.
We want lots of city, man. We built this city on rock and roll.
Alright, we already went through the terraforming mechanics in our last video, which was released about, 9 months ago?
A bazillion million.
So of course it's all fresh in your minds.
Of course. But there's lots of features in here. So you can have like a mountaintop. Here we go. Start generating. So this is where it really starts to have more effect on your city's buildings than in SimCity 2000, where it was just more like sort of a command and conquer style where you have one elevation, one elevation, one elevation. Now we have nice gradient elevations. Let's zoom in so you can see. See, it's nice, pretty colors and stuff. It starts to look like realistic terrain. And I know this was one of the big features that drew me to SimCity 3000, because, you know, SimCity 2000 was great, but it was real kind of, you know, cartoonish looking and stuff.
Oh, you say cartoonish looking about 2000. Wait until you audience get to look at the graphics on this.
Well, you know what I mean, but...
Another side note while we're in the boring terraform section is this was the first game that really made not multiplayer but sharing your resources easy. You could export your buildings into single files, and there was actually a SimCity 3000 exchange site, so you could go ahead and download someone else's custom skyscraper or their custom park. You could, with a lot of work that I never figured out how to do, you could actually make your own scenario and export that. And this was actually supported by Maxis. You didn't have to email files around or use a BBS or whatever it was back in that era.
So I'm just going to make a little, nice little park island here.
With some happy little trees.
Happy little trees. Blind trees.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. That's nice. Okay, let's accept this terrain.
And get busy.
Get to work. If you are a new SimCity player, check out the tutorial in the SimCity 3000 manual.
I've been playing this game since I was 7. Well, not this game, but this series. Okay.
Alright, so the game starts off paused, which is nice. Here's our lovely city. Notice a very good graphics bump from SimCity 2000. The trees actually look like trees and everything.
Yeah, it's not just brown exposed dirt. It actually looks like grass. If you know, you set it to grass, it could be snow. And we have the news ticker along the bottom. SimCity 2000 had the weird Mad Lib kind of newspaper where you would have to dig through it to see anything useful, but this edition introduced the news ticker, which, go ahead and click on that underlined item. Instead of having the game spit out a news issue every so often, this would give you a constant running update. You could click on anything underlined to bring up an article, in this case the advisor talking, or you could just read the text, which would give you basic information and fill it in with lots of weird running gags and articles about Sims eating broccoli eating contests and things like that.
It's really kind of ahead of its time. It's almost like a Twitter sort of thing. You know? And
I said cartoony looking things, so that...
Yeah, the cartoonish looking people.
The guy.
Okay, so let's take a look at the differences in our graphical user interface.
You can see a graphics bug at the top where whenever you scroll or jump a large distance, it will have to render in the models from those blue squares.
Yeah. So we have our drop-down menus now. Landscape is pretty much all the different landscaping options. We have zones all in one option. So we have residential, commercial, and industrial, and these all now have light, medium, and dense in levels instead of just light and dense, like in SimCity 2000.
We have a new issue here. SimCity 3000 was the first game to introduce trash.
Yes, trash. So we have landfill zones, and seaport zones, and airport zones, and D zones. And you can build roads. Highways function a little bit better than in SimCity 2000, I hope.
To be honest, I never really messed around with the highways in the earlier games because I never got a city big enough to need them.
It was always kind of tricky to get the highways to work.
Plus, once you need the highways, you got to blow up the city you spent all that time making to clear a path of access through.
Bus stops, trains, train stations, similar to lay subway stations, and subway to rail connection, which I thought that was also in SimCity 2000. I think
It was.
Okay. Power buildings.
All right, let's get this underway.
We've got all kinds of different kind of power plants. Look at all of our options. So, because it is the year 2000 and we're thinking green, we're going to use a solar power plant. Because I like the sun, man. Fortunately, the mouse roller wheel doesn't zoom in. You have to use the keyboard. There we go.
But they did make some changes in the user interface. At least you notice that the demolish button is available on every drop-down menu, so you don't have to keep switching back and forth.
Yes. But there's still hotkeys available, like that. Utilities. Water waste and garbage disposal is a new one. So,
Obviously,
along with the trash, you can also have the recycling center.
obviously, the more Sims you have, the more trash you deal with. So, in the early stages of a city, you can ignore the trash problem entirely. The recycling center will cut down on the amount of waste without getting rid of it entirely. And then from there, you can either burn your trash with the incinerator, use the waste to energy, which is slightly cleaner and produces some power for you, or you could just build or zone a landfill on the edge of town, which does hold it for a while, but you have to zone more landfill after a while, and it kills the residential demand as much as an incinerator does. About.
Yeah, it's dirty stuff.
So this is the start of where the SimCity series really started getting more complex and adding new things to worry about each iteration.
So,
Yeah, the series has always been kind of weird about road elevations.
yeah, it's not letting me.
Just click and drag more. Oh, there we go.
Alright, there we go.
Main Street Joetopia. Oh, we have our first Sims already. This was the first game to let you see individual Sims. This isn't the Glassbox engine, so they're not actually representing anything. They're just little graphical enhancements that show about where Sims are expected to be. But it's still nice to see some kind of life on your streets. Later on, we'll see they actually have vehicles going up and down once we have traffic.
They're just hanging out right now.
Were these sprites at this stage, or voxels?
I think they're sprites. Let's zoom in on them and see.
Let's put our big, omniscient mayoral eye right on them. Oh, is this the closest you can get?
That's the closest I can get. There's definitely people there. Oh, I should probably also turn it off. Pause.